something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
So, thank you, Rocky. My topic is fearing defeat. I want to challenge you guys to consider this not only as a fight in a cage, but also just in life. The fear of failure is something that can be like a really inhibiting force, can really get in the way of a lot of different aspects of your life. There's a quote, "Those who are skilled in combat do not become angered. Those who are skilled at winning do not become afraid. Thus the wise win before they fight, while the ignorant fight to win." The first point I want to make is something that we've all heard a million times. It is the phrase, you either win or you learn. We've all heard it. We all know it to be true. Sometimes bitterly so. Sometimes you're like, great, thanks for that fucking lesson. And sometimes it's actually a really humbling, like a blessing, and your game benefits, everything benefits from that. If you're able to learn from defeat, you have gained knowledge. Losing isn't really a term that applies then because you're actually gaining something. And what's even scarier is that if you don't try, you fail by default. I think probably the scariest thing wouldn't be not winning or losing or even learning, but being in the exact same place a year from now that you are today. I want everyone to take a second and think about a time in your life that you really fucked up something really good for yourself. Like maybe it was a time that you lied, or a time that you let a really toxic person into your life farther than they should have been, or a time where you ruined an opportunity that you were given, maybe that you didn't deserve. And then think to yourself, would you take it back? Would you like go back in a race and redo that whole thing a different way? Or did the lesson that you learned from that mistake make you the person you are today? Do you no longer have the same vulnerability that led you to make that bad choice in the first place? Our greatest lessons are often learned at the worst times from our worst mistakes. Albert Einstein said, "Adversity is what introduces a man to himself." And we all know that the master of anything has failed more times at his craft than the beginner has ever tried. The second concept in this fear of defeat that I want to talk to you about is how fear is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Probably like the biggest self-fulfilling prophecy. Anything you are afraid of, you can very, very easily, if not most definitely, will manifest later on in your life. One example is in basketball, and I'm so smart about sports, so I looked up some of these stats, is the free throw shot. It's the most straightforward shot in a basketball game. The net is 15 feet away and 10 feet up, and you're hitting a target that's 18 inches in diameter. Nobody is allowed to interfere in this shot. And these professional athletes, they can make shots from anywhere with with people blocking them and that kind of stuff. This shot should be 100% time made, but 25% of free throws are unsuccessful. Why? Because we choke. We fear failure in front of an audience. Overthinking messes up our muscle memory, and by having the knowledge that this time we have to get it right, our brain interferes with our instinctive knowledge, and we inevitably mess it up. Therefore, the only thing that can make something impossible to achieve is the fear of failure at it. The third point is winning is never a guarantee. You can't count your chickens before they hatch, and it's not over till it's over. We've all seen upsets where a fighter who is more talented and experienced lost because they assumed they would win, and they didn't take their opponent seriously. I recently think of the fight with Jacare Souza. He had a fight, someone backed out that he was actually excited, who he considered a worthy opponent a couple weeks out, and he took some last minute guy, up and comer, who was just hungry for the fight. He slept on him, and he lost. You can't ever assume that you're the hungriest one out there. There are fucking starving people out there, and they want that thing really, really bad. You have to want it more than them. You can't go in just hungry, you have to go in starving. Any fight can have any outcome at any day. The best athlete can have their worst day in the cage, and the worst athlete can have their best day. We've all felt that in the gym. That can happen on any given day. And when that worst athlete catches the best athlete on their worst day, then they can, that's when they win. That's when they have that winning margin. And none of you guys are out there fighting the worst athletes. I want to close with some truths that I have observed about winners. Winners know themselves. They trust their defense. They don't spend a lot of time worrying about what someone else or their opponent is going to do. They go in with a plan and they execute that plan. Winners don't stop fighting. They don't stop fighting if they're winning. If they won 2 rounds, they don't sit the 3rd round out. If they lost 2 rounds, they don't stop fighting. They fight like hell that 3rd round. If there is only a few seconds left on the clock, they don't stop fighting. If nothing they have done has worked yet, they don't stop fighting. They keep trying shit. They keep coming up with imaginative and new shit that they can incorporate into their fight. I don't fight in the same sport as most of you, and losses in jiu-jitsu are nothing compared to the pain in the ass record that you all have to carry around. But I still really hate to lose, and that's something that I need to work on. Inevitably, as with everyone who fights worthy opponents and plays the game all in, I will lose. When I do so, I also do my best to make damn sure that my opponent remembers me, that they are cursing whoever spawned me on this planet to the last second on that clock, and that they never want to meet me in the bracket again. Thank you.